or you missed this rights form back.
Thank you.
I'm streaming this, guys, because I
All right,
am curious to
Mr.
see
Nichols
what
and Mr.
the
Harvey,
state of
whenever y'all
Georgia
are
is
come
going
on
to
up to
do
the podium.
in reference to the requests that have been made for mistrial.
Mr. Harvey said he's signing the indictment.
Okay. Whenever y'all are ready.
Your Honor, I'd like my client to be present. He's a member of the public, and I would like him to observe this, and he has a right to be here.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Kendrick, out, please. Stand by.
Wait, Your Honor, I'm sorry. Can we have the, yeah, can I approach?
There's so much discussion today at the bench with the judge. And apparently someone has taken a plea that they're going to go through today. Not really sure which, I don't think it's Thug. Well, actually,
We're going to recess for just a minute, and I am sorry about that, but I'm going to have to ask everybody to step out for just a minute, and then we'll let y'all back in, okay?
So now they're recessing. Great. I don't know what is going on. They have a lot going on in this case, and this case has been going on for a very, very long time. These defendants, including Young Thug, have been waiting, and I'm sure the jury is waiting for this to be a done deal. Now, this is not a case that I have been covering on a consistent basis, but I've been watching because I don't feel personally, to be honest, I don't feel that the state of Georgia has a strong case. I don't believe they have a strong case. I believe their case is in part based on hearsay, a lot of hearsay. They're trying to use music lyrics to and reinforce their idea that these young men are involved in a criminal enterprise. Because this is a Why is this not going to the color that I want? I'm trying to change this, y'all. There we go. It is changed. Okay, can you guys hear me? Testing, testing, testing. I'm going to wait to make sure that we have sound. Okay, because I don't like that color. I'm going to try to see if I could get the preset down in the color. Like, I don't like that colorful. It just drives me nuts when I see it up here. I can hear myself, so I know there's sound. I don't know how long they're going to actually be on a recess. Let me see. Are we caught up right here? Oh, Neek is actually also streaming. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to find the stream to see if we are caught up. Let's see.
I built my credit with my rent.
One moment, guys.
Free, thanks to Sell. I stumbled on this.
Using my other phone to see. Yeah, we're caught up. They're still on a recess. So we just have to wait. Hopefully their recess won't be long. They were supposed to start at 9 o'clock this morning. And I'm assuming because of all of the adjustments that they've had to make, they are, they've had to recess. While we're on this recess, I want to just say welcome to all of my new subscribers. Channel. I am very happy to see all of you. We are at 390 subs now. 390. I'm literally 10 subscribers away from 400. Guys, the goal is to get to 500 subs before the end of the year, and I know I could do it with your help. If you are not already subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing today. Be sure to set your notifications to all so that you are notified when I go live or add new content. Let me play some mood, guys. Not playing Halloween sound. Let's see what it sounds like. Let's see what the Halloween sound, because it is almost Halloween. Let's listen to what the Halloween sound sounds like. Now I'm not gonna keep it because I'm sure I'm not gonna want to hear it. Ooh. What happened here? All right, let's see here. I'm changing it. I'm changing it to lo-fi. That's the sound. I'm switching it, guys. So while we wait and wait and wait on the judge and the prosecution as well as the defense to return. I had no idea that we're going to take a recess in the middle of starting. They literally just got started, guys. Welcome in, guys. We're waiting right now. They've taken a recess. Someone at the defense table, or one of the defendants, I should say, has opted to accept a plea. And I'm guessing that they're going to be discussing the specifics of it, of the plea agreement. How y'all doing today while we wait? Let's chat. What do y'all think is going to happen? Do y'all think there's going to be a mistrial? Guys, over here is a participation sport. We talk to each together. So I need y'all to hop in the comments and let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think they should grant the mistrial at this point? Have you been watching the case? Have you been watching the case of the state of Georgia versus Young Thug / YSL? Is that a case that anyone in here has been following? Look, I asked y'all to come and hop in the comments, and everybody hopped out the room. Bush babies, y'all ain't got to be scared if y'all don't want to comment. It's okay. Just hit that like button for me one time. Just hit that like button for me one time. Let me know if you've been watching the case. I'll wait. Replay gang, I'm talking to you too. You could participate in the conversation in the comments. Have you guys been following this case? And what are your thoughts on it? Do you think the state of Georgia has sufficient evidence to bring about this case and continue? Do you feel that the mistrial should be granted based on the errors made thus far by the prosecution? What do you guys think? In my humblest of opinions, I don't feel this is not a slam dunk case. It's just not. A lot of what they have is a hearsay. Some of it is their own, hypothesis as to what happened versus the reality of situations, I believe. Because this case has been going on. I think this is day, let me see, what day is this? Let me look up and see how long. Long has the YSL trial been going on? Okay, so this trial began on November 27th, 2023. Y'all, it's coming up on a year. Following a May 2022 indictment, excuse me, that charged 28 individuals associated with YSL under Georgia's Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, the RICO Act. So it's been going on for a long time. And it says here that they have had 75 witnesses have testified so far. And prosecutors have told Judge Whitaker that they plan to call some 105 more. Estimates backed by the new judge backed by the new judge predict the trial will likely last through the first quarter of 2025. So, this case is a year and probably 3 months, a year and 6 months. That's a very long time for individuals who are presumed to be innocent to be incarcerated. Because remember, while they're pending trial and doing all of this, if I'm not mistaken, I don't believe that Thug received a bond. I don't think Thug got a bond, and I think a lot of others didn't get bonded either. So, I don't know. I'm not sure, y'all. Y'all fingers ain't, huh? Yeah, I see the numbers in the chat. Y'all fingers not working today. What happened? Hey, Susan, have you been following the Young Thug trial? Sorry, y'all, I was putting on my lip chat. Have you been following the Young Thug trial, Susan? There's a question here. People ask, why is the trial taking so long? It says because the jury selection process that took almost a calendar year wasn't enough. We are now on day 140 there. That was October 3rd. That's so funny. I didn't know it took that long to see the jury in this case. But I would imagine that it would take some time because it's a jury of their peers. So I'm sure a jury of their peers are familiar with YSL and their music. So that may be an issue, or that may be the thing why it took so long to see the jury. We're still on this. Go ahead, walk across the camera. Why is my computer acting crazy? Okay, it says, oops, connection. Look, my connection is glitching. What's going on with Restream? Come on, Restream. Not now, not now. Bush babies, while we're in here recess, this would be a perfect like button. Not a can strike and okay, I get it. Oh, really? He's definitely a part of the younger generation. Young Thug is definitely a part of the younger generation. With that incense. Oh, I just lit an incense. I don't like the smell of it, y'all. Oh no. Cat. Ew. It's tobacco and leather. Who wants the smell of tobacco and leather? Yuck. That's why it smells so bad. Yeah, I'm getting rid of this hat, that whole pack. It stinks. It does smell like tobacco and leather. That's what the name is. About to light up. What's this? Baked cake. I'm gonna like baked cake. That's the scent. I love burning my incense, y'all. For those that's what I do. I burn incense regularly. All right, I think we're back.
I apologize for the interruption. Thanks for y'all's patience.
I think we're back. Why is this not caught up here? Why is this not caught up? The other channel that's streaming it is streaming again. Come on. Don't make me go to the other channel because I will. All right, let me go to the other channel, guys, because this is making me mad. Because they've started on the other. Law and Crime has already started. And this channel is not streaming it. Let's see. Because I really want to hear what they plan to do and who history. History. Law Crime. I'll probably get a commercial, guys, because I let my go. I'm thinking about because I loved it.
Right here, cutesy.
Yes. And at this time, taking her under the influence of any drug. We had the opportunity to sign this indictment with our attorney, Mr. Park.
Yeah.
How old and how far did you go in school?
I got my GED.
I did not hear you.
I got my GED.
Are you able to read?
Yes.
Do you understand that in this indictment, you were initially charged with count 1, conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization Act, which carries a sentence of 5 to 20 years. You were also charged with count 49's indictment, which is murder, which carries a sentence of life. You were charged with 2 counts of participation in criminal street gang activity, which was counts 50 and 51, which each carried a sentence of 5 to 20 years. You were initially charged with counts 53, 65, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon under Code Section 16-11-133, which each carried a sentence of 15 years consecutive to count 1. And then you also charged with count 54, which is possession of a firearm for the commission of a felony, which carries a sentence of 5 years consecutive to count 1. That is what you were initially charged with.
Yes.
Do you understand that you have the right to plead either guilty or not guilty to these charges? And if you plead not guilty or remain silent, you may receive jury trial.
Yes.
Have you had an opportunity to go over and review the waiver of rights form with your?
Yes.
And I'm going to hand this to your attorney. Sign the
this particular proceeding and negotiations leading up to this proceeding.
Thank you. Do you waive formal reading of the indictment?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you waive any and all defects with respect to the indictment?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, have you been arrested on all the charges in this indictment?
Yes.
And Mr. Harvey, the state is unaware of any outstanding warrants related to these charges. Do you know of any outstanding warrants that are related to these charges?
Not related to those charges.
Have you been advised of the minimum and maximum sentence for each charge you are pleading to?
Yes.
Do you understand this is a negotiated plea of guilty, which means that the state will recommend to the court as to count 1, conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, a sentence of 20 years to serve 7 years in custody, balanced on probation.
Yes.
Do you understand that as a part of the negotiated agreement, the state will null, prosper, dismiss count 49, which is the murder count, count 50, 51, which are the gang activity counts, count 53, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, count 54, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, and count 65, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Do you understand that is the negotiated agreement?
Yes.
Do you understand that the court does not have to accept that recommendation?
Yes.
And the court can sentence you to the maximum on each charge and can run those charges consecutively or one after the other?
Yes.
Well, there's only one charge that
So
a guilty plea is
I
being
listened-
entered into, so
under my breath.
there's no other sentence to run anything consecutively with regard to this plea. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you understand this plea may be used to enhance sentencing on other convictions in this jurisdiction as well as in other jurisdictions, including the federal courts?
Yes.
Do you understand if you are currently on probation or parole, your probation or parole may be revoked based on your entering a guilty plea today?
Yes.
Do you understand if you're placed on probation of any kind, you cannot violate any criminal laws of any governmental unit or any special conditions of probation without being subject to revocation for the balance of your sentence?
Yes.
Do you understand you are not allowed to possess or use a firearm while on probation?
Yes.
Do you understand if you are not a United States citizen, a guilty plea conviction will affect your immigration status and will result in deportation, just like a conviction at a trial would? And that is true regardless of any advice by your attorney or anyone else.
Yes.
Do you understand that neither the court, your attorney, nor the district attorney's office has anything to do with parole, the Department of Corrections, or Board of Pardons and Paroles, and no one can guarantee parole no matter what anyone has told you?
Yes.
Do you understand that there may be other adverse or unfavorable consequences as a result of this guilty plea conviction, just as there would be from a conviction following a trial? For example, your guilty plea may affect your right to vote, your right to hold public office, your right to serve on a jury, your right to obtain a passport, your right to receive, possess, or transport a firearm, or the ability to obtain employment.
Yes.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty to a felony, if you use, receive, possess, or transport a firearm, or use a firearm in a crime, you will be guilty of a felony, which may carry a sentence of 1 to 15 years in prison.
Yes.
Do you understand that you waive any and all defenses, including any mental health defenses, by entering a plea of guilty?
Yes.
Do you understand that if you went to trial, you have the right to a trial by jury, the right to see, hear, and confront witnesses called to testify against you, and the right to testify or to remain silent and not incriminate yourself?
Yes.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you are giving up the following rights? After each right, I'll ask you to say yes or no. The right to a trial by jury.
Yes.
The right to remain silent and not incriminate yourself.
Yes.
The right to confront witnesses against you.
Yes.
The right to assist with counsel hired by you or to court-appointed counsel if you cannot afford an attorney at the trial of your case.
Yes.
The right to the presumption of innocence.
Yes.
The right to testify on your own behalf and to present other evidence.
Yes.
The right to subpoena witnesses and compel the production of evidence.
Yes.
The right to have the charges against you proved beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yes.
The right to appeal if convicted of these charges after a trial.
Yes.
Has anyone forced, threatened, or promised you anything to get you to enter a guilty plea?
No.
Is it your decision to waive these rights and enter a guilty plea because you're found guilty?
Yes.
With respect to indictment 22 SC 183572, how do you plead to count 1, conspiracy to violate the Racketeer, Influence, and Corrupt Organizations Act?
Guilty.
Is this guilty plea freely and voluntarily given with a full knowledge of the charge against you?
Yes.
Do you understand that you have only a limited right to appeal this guilty plea conviction?
Yes.
Do you understand that you have 4 years from today's date to file a habeas corpus petition challenging the voluntariness of this plea?
Yes.
And that can challenge anything about the constitutionality of the plea. It's not limited to voluntariness, understand?
Yes.
And Your Honor, if this case were to
Hang on just a second. You also have, 4 years for that, to file a direct appeal. You have 30 days from the date of sentencing, which is going to be today. And you have until the end of this term of court to file a motion seeking to withdraw your guilty plea. That doesn't mean anything like that would be granted. You would have to establish facts that would warrant that. But that just the time period is until the end of this term of court. Do you understand those as well?
Yes.
All right.
Your Honor, if this case were to continue with trial, Your Honor, the state would expect, as this defendant, the state would expect to show that what has already come into evidence that on July 3rd, 2017, as well as October 23rd, 2018, that this defendant is an associate of the enterprise of YSL, also known as Young Slimelife, and that he conspired to associate together with others for the common purpose of illegally obtaining money and property through a pattern of racketeering activity and conducting and participating in the enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity. In furtherance of the conspiracy, this defendant engaged in the activities below. He engaged in activities that assisted with preserving, protecting, and enhancing the reputation, power, and territory of the enterprise through acts of racketeering activity to include murder, assault, and threats of violence. That this defendant preserved, protect, and enhance the reputation, power, and territory of the enterprise by the posting of messages, images, appearance in videos, and songs demonstrating allegiance to the enterprise and a willingness to engage in violence on its behalf.
He's pleading guilty to this. He crazy.
To obtain money, weapons, and other property themed. They found marijuana as well as sandwich baggies that would be used to package drugs, and there are also guns found inside of that vehicle. Also in July of 2017, this defendant was stopped during a traffic stop in the Cascade area, Your Honor. After being stopped, Your Honor, there was a consensual search of the vehicle that yielded powder and MDMA, Xanax, as well as a loaded gun inside of that vehicle. Additionally, Your Honor, in July 2019, Mr. Nichols was featured in a video with another YSL member, Shannon Stillwell, and Woody Lee. In that video, it was entitled Slap Talk. And in that video, co-conspirator Shannon Stillwell, while performing, makes such quotes as, "Me and my slimes are above the law." We know from the evidence that slimes is one of the terminology used by members of YSL to refer to themselves or other members of this enterprise. And then last but certainly not least, Your Honor, that in March of 2022, Mr. Nichols was found in surveillance video at a gas station at Windsor Street and in Fulton Street here in Atlanta, Georgia. This was on March 14, 2022, during what the state would believe to show an onset of a gang war that really started in 2015 with the death of Donovan Thomas and carried on into 2022. In February of 2022, a rival gang member by the name of Rayshawn Bennett, also known as Wyatt Lucci, was stabbed at the Fulton County Jail in February of 2022. Information about that stabbing was made public in the early part of March 2022, around March 3rd of 2022. Once that information was released to the public, there was an onset of retaliatory activity that occurred between March 3rd, 2022 and March 16th of 2022. That includes a March 11th homicide of YSL associates Christian McMillan and Darius Ford. It also did include a retaliatory shooting of a YFN associate, and then ultimately it led to a murder of Chanel Drinks, who we believe is a YFN associate. This murder occurred again on March 14, 2022. Mr. Nichols is seen on surveillance video at that BP gas station, as I just referenced earlier. He was at the gas station with YSL co-conspirator Shannon Stillwell. Mr. Stillwell was driving an Audi vehicle. Mr. Nichols came to that gas station in a Ford Fusion vehicle. You see both of them on camera together. While they are at that gas station, Chanel Drinks approaches that gas station as well. I think unbeknownst to Mr. Drinks, Mr. Stillwell was still in his vehicle, which is the Audi. At some point in time, Mr. Nichols got to his vehicle, the Ford Fusion. Once Mr. Drinks finished his business or finished handling business at that gas station, we know that there's a phone call between occupants of the car that Mr. Stillwell was in and occupants of the car that Mr. Nichols was in. That communication was to the effect of you need to get on FaceTime. As soon as that conversation ensues, we see Mr. Drinks leave the gas station in his vehicle, and both the car that Mr. Stillwell is driving as well as the car that Mr. Nichols is driving both follow out of the gas station, following behind Mr. Drinks. Mr. Drinks proceeds down the street to the light at Windsor, which is right by I-20 in Windsor. Mr. Drinks is in the far left lane. The car involving with Mr. Stillwell pulls up to the middle lane, and Mr. Nichols' vehicle pulls up to the far right lane. This is all captured on surveillance video and surveillance camera. They are at the light for a moment. Then we see both with this car with Mr. Stillwell as well as the car with Mr. Nichols drive through a red light, leaving the car with Mr. Drinks sitting at that light. About 30 minutes later, the Samaritan sees that car still sitting there, approaches the vehicle, and Mr. Drinks is now deceased inside of that vehicle. We had those LPR readers that both Mr. Stillwell's vehicle and the car involving Mr. Nichols drive in the direction of 20 westbound and follow in tandem. 2 days later, when after the case is investigated and arrest warrants are taken out, on March 17th, 3 days later, Mr. Nichols is found with Mr. Stillwell at a Chick-fil-A Chick-fil-A restaurant. There is a chase, we'll call it a high-speed chase, but there is a chase through the city of East Point, and eventually Mr. Nichols as well as Mr. Stillwell are both apprehended after arrest warrants were ultimately taken out for the murder of Mr. Sharana. Given where we are in the case, Your Honor, we know that Mr. Nichols, we do not believe Mr. Nichols was in the vehicle in which the shooting occurred, but he was in this other vehicle. The state has made a decision to move forward with this recommendation for the legal count, Your Honor, for count one.
Mr. Harvey, are y'all acknowledging a factual basis to the count one, the RICO count?
Okay, we are acknowledging a factual basis. There has already been evidence with regard to the July 3rd, 2017 drug event, the October 23rd, 2018 drug event. We categorically deny and contest any use of violence by Mr. Nichols. We don't agree to the underlying factual basis. We believe those two predicate acts that were committed by Mr. Nichols without any question are sufficient to meet the elements of the offense. The offense to which he's pleaded to, which is a RICO conspiracy. A RICO conspiracy requires proof that the defendant either conspire with another person to violate one of the substantive provisions of RICO, and that would be drug offenses, or personally endeavor, I believe that's what the language of the statute says, to violate one of the substantive provisions.
Well, that's what the language of the statute says, but
Yes.
he is indicted in this indictment with conspiring, not with endeavoring.
That's correct. So we're talking about a conspiracy. We acknowledge the two events that he participated in. We categorically deny any other allegations other than those two events that are sufficient for a factual basis. We categorically deny that we participated in any way in the unfortunate death of Mr. Drinks. We categorically deny any other charges to which we are substantive charges to which we are not entering a plea, and that includes gang charges. This is a plea solely to a conspiracy to violate the RICO Act. But yes, we acknowledge a factual basis to that extent, Your Honor.
Understood. All right, thank you.
Your Honor, we have one additional thing to say.
Go ahead.
The factual basis regarding the nature of YSL is that the evidence has shown and will continue to show that Mr. Nichols conspired with others to participate in Young Slime Life through a pattern of racketeering activity, and multiple defendants and unindicted co-conspirators have committed overt acts to further this conspiracy, including drug sales, aggravated assault, and murder. Also including social media posts asserting the violent nature of and asserted dominance of Young Slime Life, also known as YSL. But that concludes our factual basis.
And again, once again, we categorically deny those representations. And again, the only thing that is necessary to meet the factual evidence of a 1614-4C is proof that the defendant conspire with another person to violate one of the substantive provisions of RICO, and that is subsumed by the drug offenses that have already been proven in this case and to which Mr. Nichols has previously pled.
All right, thank you. Understood.
And Your Honor, I approach the waiver of rights for the
Yes. All right, Mr. Harvey, have you reviewed with Mr. Nichols this plea of guilty and waiver of rights form, which the two of you have both signed?
I have, Judge, in each individual provision in that plea colloquy has been acknowledged and gone over personally with Mr. Nichols.
All right. And Mr. Nichols, have you had sufficient time to consider this guilty plea that has been negotiated between the state and your attorneys, and to discuss anything you wanted to about that with your attorneys?
Yes.
All right. And you understand, I hope, I'm going to ask you, that it is your decision ultimately, obviously with the advice of your attorneys, but it's ultimately up to you individually to decide whether you want to enter this guilty plea or not. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right. And you do want to enter this guilty plea?
Yes.
All right. And Mr. Harvey, have you advised Mr. Nichols of the alternatives if he does not ultimately go through with this guilty plea, and the potential benefits and drawbacks of all of the other options?
Yes,
All right.
very thoroughly, Judge.
All right. All right, Mr. Harvey, is there anything that the defense wants to add to the record?
Judge, other than the statement with regard to the underlying factual basis, I would point out for the court that when Mr. Nichols filled out his form, it says 29 plus. He is a birthday boy in a couple of days, and he will be 30. And at 30 years of age, he has a wife. He has got a 13-year-old daughter. He's got a 10-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old son. His wife and sister, I believe, are here in the courtroom to support him. He, Mr. Nichols, was born and raised in Atlanta. And, we're at this point before I have even given my opening statement in this case.
Yes, sir.
I do want the court to know that Mr. Nichols' mother died in prison. His father was shot by the Atlanta police when he was 4 years old. And he was raised by friends and family in the Atlanta area. So he has come to this point in his life from a very humble beginning. And he has sought the support of friends in this courtroom and others in this courtroom. He is an intelligent young man who I believe has a future. Every day we do a word of the day. We put a new word into a sentence. And I think this is in his best interest. I know that there is, and I know this plea is negotiated, but it's a long downside from 7 to 20. So the courts will have jurisdiction over him for a period of time. So I ask the court, given who this young man is, and given our categorical denial of some of the factual basis, to accept the plea and sentence Mr. Nichols accordingly.
Mr. Nichols, is there anything that you want to say? All right. All right. I find there to be a factual basis for the guilty plea to the RICO count one of the indictment, that being a conspiracy to acquire control or interest in money and personal property through a pattern of racketeering activity. And that is the only count that guilty plea is being entered for. The remaining counts of this indictment as against Mr. Nichols are being null pros by the state as a part of this indictment. I find, having heard the evidence up to the point of trial right now, that there is evidence of at least one overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. And that there is evidence that would fall within the required statute of limitations to establish this RICO conspiracy count. one of the things that we as judges are instructed by our Uniform Superior Court rules to do when we are considering whether to accept a guilty plea and whether to accept a negotiated sentence, and this is a negotiated sentence in this case, is to take into account whether giving leniency in sentencing is going to aid in ensuring promptness and certainty, or at least more promptness and more certainty with regard to corrective measures, whether the defendant, and in this case, the defendant has acknowledged guilt and is accepting responsibility for his guilt of the RICO count, and whether accepting the plea will aid in avoiding further delays, not just with regard to this case, but with regard to the entirety of our system here in Fulton County. And this plea does go towards doing all of those things. I am going to accept the plea as negotiated and sentence in accord with the negotiated recommendation. As I said before, find there to be a factual basis for count one of the plea. I find the plea to have been freely, knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily entered into by Mr. Nichols with an understanding of the consequences of doing that. And the sentence on count one is the sentence that has been negotiated of 20 years to serve 7, with the balance of those years to be served on probation. And that, I don't know if there are any special conditions attached to this that y'all have talked about at all.
There are no negotiated special
Okay.
conditions in those, but so there are none as far as I'm concerned.
All right. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
So with regard to the time that you are on probation, you need to stay out of all kinds of criminal trouble. Make this a birthday present to yourself and to your children and to your wife and family, that you will leave from here today and leave whatever you used to do behind you, and take the next few years. You know, you're going to have some years that are still to be served on this. You'll have credit for the time you've already served, but you're still going to be facing some. But after that, you're going to be out, and you, I believe, Mr. Harvey is correct, can be a productive member of society, and this is an opportunity for you to do that, and for you to put your past behind you, the bad parts of it, and continue and make your children proud of you, and set a good example for them, an example that I guess unfortunately you were not lucky enough to have throughout the entirety of your childhood with your parents. I'm sorry about that, but you can be the kind of parent that you ought to be to your children. So I am going to impose that sentence, and I am going to wish you luck and good fortune as you go forth from here. So I think that unless there's anything else from either party, that will conclude these proceedings, and y'all can go ahead and take him into custody. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
And Ms. Taylor will make this an exhibit to the plea. Thank you. All right, we are adjourned for the day.
Wow. So they just came live to share with us the plea deal that one of the defendants are to have taken. So in my opinion, then, that means that, hold on, let me turn this off. Why won't this stop? Do I have to? I think I gotta shut it off from here. Yep. Nope, it won't do it. Why? There it is. Lord. They have switched, excuse me, guys. They have switched Restream around so much, it doesn't make any sense. It's odd to me that they are still not addressing. I guess there's not a mistrial. I guess the judge is not going to approve the request for the mistrial. Hey, B lady. Hey, Candace. He looks like he's gained some weight. So, the channel name is Volkswagenist. Who is that? The B lady. It sounds like he's going to have to do some of the 7 years. To me, that's just that's a lot of time. I wouldn't even be able to last in jail for, I don't know, a week. I would be sick. I would be getting my Diddy on. I'd be mad. About Diddy, girl, you need. Okay, let me see what you said at the top. I'll check it out, the B lady. I try to stay abreast of what's going on with Diddy, but it's like his case, as far as his entire situation, it's just, I don't think there's any way out for him. Between the civil and the criminal, it's kind of like there's no out for him. But I will check it out. And if it's something that I need to report and update the folks on, B lady, I will. And thank you for the lead and the heads up. But guys, I'm going to get out of here. Candace, thank you for being here. Susan, I appreciate you. Thank you, the B lady. I appreciate you too. All right, guys. Until next time. I thought they were gonna talk about the mistrial today, but clearly there's not gonna be a mistrial on this. The state of Georgia still intends to continue on because now they've gotten another person to plead guilty to the conspiracy